Thank you, Karen. You're doing a wonderful job. I'm just moisturizing. I'm so sorry. You should always carry lots of creams everywhere you go. That's part of your survival go kit. You know, important papers and cocoa butter, right? How can one possibly get free if you are not moisturized? There's more of a bougie kind of liberation thing that I'm into these days. But welcome to Lama Rod Skincare Hour. And the Skincare Hour is brought to you by lavender, um, almond oil, coconut oil, beeswax, all of our favorite things from Mother Earth. So welcome, and welcome to those of you who are new to the space, and feel free to just say hello in the chat. We would love to see you and welcome you into the space. And I am Lama Rod. It's really wonderful to be with you. Coming straight from our powerful, magical weekend in Durham as well. For those of you who were there with us, we had a really wonderful, transformative time, you know. And I look forward to see you for the second half of my kind of triangle, like Durham, Chapel Hill, Riley retreat, which is Dharma Gates retreat coming up on Thursday. So that's for people up to age 35. But if you look under 35, I'm sure you can get in. So if you're in the area, I think there are a couple of spots left to join us. So I hope to see you there this coming weekend too. So, and welcome back to the old folks, to the regular community as well. It's so important to be together, even if it's online, and practice right now, to be together, kind of sharing in this profound lineage, opening our hearts, tending to, our bodies through the blessings of Medicine Buddha right now. The Dharma, right, is for me, it's like a light that shines into this moment of just intense darkness, right? Intense um, imbalance or disorder, right? And we talked a lot about this weekend, actually, as I always talk about these days, because why would I be talking about anything other than the apocalypse? Systemic collapse. Um, but like in this time, right? It's like we have to find our sources of refuge. And what bothers me, and it's not when I say bother, I mean like really what's really heartbreaking is there's so many people who don't have really appropriate sources of refuge right now. And sources of refuge do not include our favorite shows. It does not include substances. It does not include shopping. It does not include Beyonce. However, like just a little caveat, she does help a little bit. But when I talk about appropriate sources of refuge, I'm talking about sources of refuge that are there to get us free, to get us clear, right? To take us from ambiguity to a real sense of clarity. Practices that don't, or things and practices that don't give up on us, right? Real things, real things that are tending to us, that are helping to tend to our beloveds, to our communities, sources of refuge that are helping us to tend to our grief right now. This is a moment of intense grief. We're grieving um, the continued genocide of the Palestinian people, the continued, what many consider genocide of the Sudanese people, but a lot of folks, it's hard to get a lot of news out of there unless you know someone who has access, right? And so many other parts of the world, so many communities who are struggling for survival. right? And we're a part of that as well. We're also struggling, you know, to different degrees, maybe, right? But we're all still struggling. All humans, all beings are struggling to avoid happiness. I mean, well, to avoid suffering and to find happiness, right? But we don't always make the best choices in avoiding suffering. Sometimes, you know, the way that samsara tricks us is that we get lulled into normalizing the suffering, right? And we get to a point where it's like, oh, what suffering? You know, when in fact we're deep in suffering, we're deep in this imbalance, right? We're so disconnected from what we really are and who we really are, right? And we're so far from that that we're just like, oh, this is how it is, right? And then when someone shows up and says, no, baby, it's time for you to get free from this, like what you've normalized isn't normal. Like what you have found a home in isn't your home, right? And it's a very dangerous thing. And that's how I say this all the time, is a very dangerous situation when you start getting curious about the nature of all of this, right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to play around and find out too much, and then you'll never be able to go back. And then the only thing to do is to go forward, is to get free, is to awaken, is to remember, right? You know, I think about, you know, something that Trungpa Rinpoche would say, you know, particularly about Tantric Buddhism, which is this tradition, but he would say, you know, Tantra, it's better not to even start it, right? Like it's better not to even get on this ride because once you're on it, you're not getting off. So like you're gonna have to get free, right? And I think that warning really comes from the fact that like we will struggle in this. This is not a path of comfort, right? This is a path of moving into all the shit that scares us over and over and over again till we get the point that all this shit that we're scared of is just arising out of emptiness, right? That the nature of the thing that we're terrified of is the same nature of our minds, right? Of all phenomena. Everything arises from the same essence, emptiness, space, energies. These things are being shaped by our consciousness, but because we've gotten so distracted from emptiness and space, our consciousness shapes all of this energy into this phenomenon that feels very carceral. A lot of us are feeling that carcerality. And the carcerality, particularly in this case, is the rigidity, right? Is the solidity, the rootedness, the real kind of like lack of space, right? Um, and that intensifies suffering. It's like being in a pressure cooker, but you can't get the pressure to release. So the pressure gets more and more and more intense, right? But it gets more and more intense, but you keep normalizing it at the same time, right? And that's the predicament, right? For so many of us. But like still there are so many of us also who like we get it. We get that like this isn't it, right? There's got to be something else, right? And this is where the Dharma is taking us, is to that something else. That something else is the truth of things, right? The truth of things, you know, emptiness, space, you can call the truth of things God, but not God as a person or as a being, right? But as a state, a liberated state. That's so difficult. Like you have to understand, you know, I know this is hard to believe, but I too had to start from the beginning. Right? You know, I would go to Dharma talk just like this. You know, we didn't do them online, you know, when I started practicing. You didn't have the technology necessarily like this in the early 2000s, but You would go to Dharma talks. I would go to into the hall, listen to the teacher, and I would be completely confused. I would be like, what are they talking about? Emptiness and enlightenment, right? I didn't get it, but what I did get, and this is why I was there, I knew that there was medicine there, right? Even though I didn't understand what the teachings were, I knew the teachings to be true, right? And then we have the practice that actually begins to help us to awaken these truths and to embody these truths, right? So I know some of you, like, you keep hearing me say all these words, and it feels so abstract, it feels so out there, right? But I want to encourage you just to keep practicing, keep wrestling with this, right? Not necessarily thinking about it, intellectualizing, but I want you to experience, to feel emptiness. That's the real liberation, is the experience, not the thought. The thought doesn't liberate you. Like, it's the experience that liberates, right? So we talk about emptiness. I'm trying to get you to an experience of emptiness, right? And once you have an experience, which is all you need is a taste of emptiness, and you will know what's up. You know, you will always know what's up. Not just in this life, but all your life to come. You will know really what the point is when you get that drop, that one taste, right? And it can be like a split second where everything not falls away. Like, I don't think things fall away, but that 1 second where, that 1 second where you realize and you feel that there's no there, right? That moment where the solidity, the hardness, the rigidity softens even. And then you go, oh, there's something else happening. The walls in front of me aren't so real anymore. They're not so impenetrable. They're not so solid anymore. I'm glimpsing into something else, right? And if I practice even more, maybe like I can develop this intense intuition, this intense insight into its real nature. That's what we're trying to get to, right? Like, think about it like this, right? Think about something that you ate once and it was the best thing. Think of your favorite food, your favorite meal you ever had. You're like, I have a couple of things that I've had and eaten where I've just sat there and gone, oh my God, this must be on the buffet table in heaven. Because this is like changing my life, right? I mean, have you had something like that? It doesn't have to be food, it can be other experiences as well. But like, I think about food. I have very strong past experiences where I've eaten something and it's just changed my life. Especially food that's like deeply imbued with love. The food that like my grandmama used to make, the food my mom makes, right? You can feel that love, right? But I'm even talking about something even beyond that, where you're like, oh, this is what this food is supposed to taste like. This is what, this a peach is supposed to taste like, or an apple is supposed to taste like. For me, it's ice cream. Like, I had this ice cream once, and I will never forget. It's been like 30 years. When I was like in my early like adolescence, like, preteens, right? I had this ice cream and I have been trying to find that taste, that experience ever since. Which is to say, I've gone through a lot of ice cream since then. All of that's been quite enjoyable, but it hasn't been that first moment when I had this ice cream at this place, and I was like, my God, this is ice cream. And this is what practice is taking us to. Like, when you get that experience of emptiness, then like you will never forget it. That's not something that's easily forgotten, right? And it's just a glimpse, it's a moment, right? It's a beat. And in that beat, you begin to really take liberation seriously. You're like, oh, this can happen, right? This matrix can be disrupted, right? If only I can continue practicing paying attention to this, because that's how you break through this. You have to learn to pay attention, right? You have to learn to pay attention. You have to learn to experience everything. And when all of that starts to happen, all this stuff begins to break up, all the realness, right, begins to be dismantled. And you begin to have and experience this kind of freedom. Listen, I've just read this in books. So, by the way, I'm just like putting all my book knowledge together for this. But like, this is you begin to say, oh, right, this world and everything that I've been so deeply invested in, like this is actually a dream. And this experience is just a moment, right? And yes, the suffering, the survival, like this, everything that we go through in this body, in this dream, yes, it's a dream, but it's also real. The death, right? The war, the genocide, all the violence, right? That we survive, that we're witnessing, right? That's been a part of this world for as long as samsara has been around, because this is what happens, right? In samsara, violence and suffering is supposed to happen, right? It happens because this isn't where we belong. We're having a dream that's really based on being out of alignment with our true natures, with who and what we are. If we are Buddhas who have forgotten our Buddhahood. And when you forget the light like that, then you're relegated to the darkness, right? And what Buddha Dharma is actually helping us to do is to make our way back to the light, right? But but it's not a journey. It's not a path, even though we call it the Buddha path, or like, the path of awakening. It's not something that you're moving along, right? It's not that kind of activity. It's more about the work of just coming back to the moment, right? Coming out of distraction and coming back to presence, to the moment, to what's actually happening, right? Noticing, being in the moment. And then once you collect yourself in the moment, then you have this agency, this capacity to let your attachment to the dream go. Because we are attached to this. We're actually addicted to this, in the real way addicted. This is a real addiction. And it's so deeply rooted in our mind stream, right? It saturates everything, right? But you can't lift, like you can't like earth or surface the saturation until you stay put and begin to pay attention. And as you're paying attention, you're slowly beginning to dissolve all this fixation to the dream. You're dissolving your fixation and your loyalty to the realness of everything. And as you're dissolving that fixation, you're also leaning even more into this reality. You're not getting lost in it, you're just leaning more into it, because you're beginning to understand its true nature. When you begin to understand the true nature of something, you're no longer pushing it away. There's no more aversion, there's actually no more attachment either, right? Because how can you grab on or push away emptiness? We are. Everything is emptiness. It's impossible. But the more you have this experience of emptiness, the more you realize there was nothing to do to begin with, except to remember, right, that this was all just a figment of our imaginations. right? We got too distracted, we got too involved, and now we have to let go of wanting to be entertained and just return back to being, right? Which sounds impossible to be as we are struggling to be well and safe and happy, as we are struggling in our grief, right? As we're struggling, to keep ourselves from putting hands on people who are getting on our nerves. Right? Like all this is a real struggle, but even the struggle has to be held and tended to. Right? This is all of what love and rage is about. Is how do you tend to these energies that we just want to react to, particularly anger? Like, how do we hold this and just let it be? And then how do we choose a response to respond? Right? Not to respond because you want to hurt people, not to respond because you're uncomfortable, but to respond because you care, because you love, to respond in love. And to a response in love is just a response that's about liberating what's happening, not perpetuating what's happening, liberating what's happening. Everything is asking to be liberated, right? Phenomena is asking to be liberated from our misunderstanding of it. We're being liberated from our misunderstanding in general of who and what we are, right? And so it's as easy as this, right? It's as easy as finding your seat, right? It is as easy as finding your breath, right? It is as easy as allowing the seat to hold you, right? It's as easy as turning your attention to your thoughts, right? To your emotions, right? To the anxiety, to the worry, to the fear, to the grief, beginning to just gaze into these experiences. And as you gaze into these experiences, you give yourself permission to slowly begin to experience what these energies are. It is as easy as this. But join me in this if you're not already, you know, finding your seat, finding the weight of your body, feeling that foundation. Right? As I often say, this is where we begin to call the Buddhas into our practice. Like this is where they're born from. This experience of space, this openness. Right? When we sit and allow space to awaken, because space awakens when we're not reacting so much, but we're just resting, we're being held, or our awareness is just holding whatever is arising. We're not so distracted, but we're just noticing this space that opens up, right? This fluidity, this sense of potential, this sense of like things like kind of opening and expanding. This expansion, first, I believe, is a blessing of the mother, right? Of the mother in general, right? The cosmic mother, the universal mother, principle, right? Deeply embodied by Tara, the two Taras behind me. When we feel the space opening, we can say that we're beginning to sit in the lap of the mother. The blessing of the mother is space, openness, expansion, fluidity, hope. Space offers so much hope. Things begin to feel less urgent. You feel the support of the seed, but the seed is just an expression and an extension of the earth, and the earth being another expression of the mother. And what so many of us are desperately searching for is to be held, to be tended to. Right? And in that being held, we want to feel connected, we want to feel tethered to something that is taking care of us, not something that is trying to harm us, not something that's trying to further distract us. Just to be held by something that just wants us to be free. Space wants us to be free. The earth wants us to be free. All of our benefactors wants us to be free. All the Buddhas want us to be free. The people who really love us want us to be free. And even now, can you open to that, to this very feeling, this very experience, right? Of how all these beings want you to be free. I want you to be free. I want you to be free. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be free because we are already free. And yes, there's so much to focus on right now. There's so much work to do. But this is work as well. This is the work too. This isn't just having fun. This isn't just taking a break. This is imperative work to reconnect to space. And let's go further, right? Let's begin to welcome, to call into the space all of our benefactors. So all the beings who love you, right? Both living or dead, both awakened beings, both ordinary beings, all beings, plants, animals, spirits, deities, people, friends, beloveds, communities, teachers and guides, everyone and everything. There are countless beings who are working to get you free. If only we could meet them in this work by just beginning to pay attention, beginning to believe this. and to consent to their help, their support. There's so much resistance. And yes, that resistance is really it's a trauma, right? We don't trust the help. We've been let down. We've been manipulated. You know, we keep voting for people who promise to set us free. You know, we get tired. Our hearts have been broken so many times. We've been lied to. We've been manipulated, right? We've been cheated. I get it. I've been there. This is where I started, right? Is this intense distrust of all of this shit. And here I am preaching about it. And don't take refuge in me. Like, take refuge in beings who have earned that trust. Tara, has earned that. The Buddha. I mean, there's so many other beings that are loving you who have never let go of you, who've never let you down. Space has never let you down. Emptiness has never let us down. And maybe it's hard for us to conceptualize these experiences. That's why we have Buddhas who embody all of these experiences. We have Tara that embodies space, Prajaparamita who embodies emptiness, who is also an expression of Tara, so forth and so on, right? This is why the Buddhas are so important. But take refuge in the teachings, which are just expressions of emptiness. Dharma means emptiness. Right? The truth of things, the ultimate truth, is emptiness. But that experience of emptiness that isn't void or cold is actually very full, right? Is actually kind of warmth and an illumination and a real experience of emptiness, our real authentic states. So don't think of it as an end, but think of it as unlimited potential, boundlessness, the transcendence of duality, of right and wrong, up and down, black and white. It's even the transcendence of happiness and joy. This experience of emptiness far transcends the most intense experience of pleasure that we can possibly have in this body. We're going beyond. Right? As the Gate mantra points out, Gate, Gate, Parasam Gate, Bodhisoha, go beyond. Right? Go to the edge and then step off the edge. Keep going. This is how we slowly begin to dream a different future. This is how we begin to remember what we really are. Who are we, or what are we beyond the limitations of our thoughts? But still calling all your benefactors and feeling them just awaken around you. Right? As if like you're just in space and all your benefactors begin to show up, and they're like shining and twinkling like stars in the sky. But you're surrounded up and down, left and right, right? Sparkling, twinkling benefactors illuminating the space around us, beginning to feel this light. Letting this light slowly begin to touch your skin, and imagining that your skin is gently beginning to drink, right? This light, this radiance of all your benefactors into your body, and feeling your body begin to fill with this starlight, this radiance, which is nothing but an expression of love. And you begin to twinkle, you begin to radiate like the star, you begin to radiate like Mother Tara, right? Who is the star that guides us from one shore of suffering to the shore of liberation. Can you feel yourself shining, twinkling, sparkling? You become a child of all the Buddhas and all the Bodhisattvas when we allow ourselves to shine like they do. You are a star, not just in your imagination, but like you really are a star. Let that light burn brightly. And as we're shining, we turn our attention to the first of our mantras tonight, Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha. We are beginning to call the consciousness of Medicine Buddha into our practice. But we're going to feel Medicine Buddha awakening from within our heart centers. Just let Medicine Buddha arrive, appear. And so we began just by chanting Om, and then chanting the mantra 3 times, then ending with Om. But again, as we chant, just allowing, right, Medicine Buddha to awaken. Don't think about it, right? Just say, welcome, Medicine Buddha. Welcome, great healer. You are always welcome. May you always be present for me. May it always be so. So we began with Om. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. Om La Sangye Kino Soha. begin to feel this awakened healer growing, expanding inside of us, until we begin to feel as if we are being held and sitting actually within the heart of Medicine Buddha. That we are being held within this Buddha being held in space, and that everything, this Buddha, us, all of our benefactors still sparkling in the space around us, all of it is just arising from this state of emptiness, this state of emptiness which is our true home. Can you just be here? Feeling the support, feeling the tethering of Medicine Buddha. We slowly turn our attention to Medicine Buddha's main mantra. Teata om bekenze maha bekenze rasa sumum gate soha. And like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And I release the energy of this prayer out to all the worlds so that we all may be benefited. So let us take refuge within the heart of Medicine Buddha. Resting, opening, being aware, just being. Ma begenze, rasa sumungate soa. Te anda begenze, 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 ma begenze, rasa sumungate soa. Te ata begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soa. Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Jayanda Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungate Soa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa Yada Om Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Raza Sumungare Zoa. I just turn my attention to our prayer requests. We lift up these prayer requests to all of our authentic sources of refuge, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, all the beings of light, to all the benevolent ancestors, to all the spirits of our lands, the guardians of the elements, and so forth. We call you into the space along with the retinue and the entourage of the Medicine Buddha and all the healing spirits of the universe committed to the liberation of all beings. We ask that you hear these prayers. We are your children and we offer these prayers to you, and we pray that you bring about the fruition of these prayers and at the same time offer us the capacity, awaken within us the capacity to also help these prayers come to fruition. We begin by offering prayers, for I am on fumes as a primary caretaker in need of breath of fresh air or a new opening to inject life into me or a situation. Prayers for all those caged, literally, politically, geographically, figuratively. May we all feel the light and space of the Mother. For those wandering in darkness, may we have the discernment to know if it is the blind, generative darkness of the womb or needless suffering. It can be so hard to tell. Prayers for all those journeying with metastatic cancer. May Medicine Buddha bring healing. Prayers that all can find compassion, prayers of gratitude, of abundance, of heart and financial abundance that I am feeling. Prayers for S who passed in a terrible accident on June 4th, for all his loved ones. Prayers for R's appetite, agency, and engagement in the world. For A to find good, well-paying job. Prayers that we may transform all of our adversities into liberatory medicine for everyone. For my physical health, prayers for the AC in my office to be fixed soon and continue working. Prayers for Tiffany and the girls this week. Prayers for all of us to be reminded of joy and to experience joy. Prayers for all of my beloveds and the names of my altar. Prayers for all those experiencing deep suffering, that they may experience peace, comfort, and joy. Prayers that we all may recognize our true nature. Prayers that I can find a job and a career that nourishes me spiritually, emotionally, and financially. Prayers for my friends with cancer and dementia as they live with uncertainty. Prayers for those causing suffering and those who suffer, those starving and in pain. May compassion intercede. Prayers for my brother-in-law and family, death of his mother yesterday. Joy, Melissa, Kate, Kathy, and Judith. Prayers for my mom Lisa as she heals from her various joint injuries. Prayers for Hubert that his eye heals with ease. Prayers for Linda that her chemo and medications are effective without any impact on her quality of life. Prayers for Jay and Jay as they navigate career transitions. Prayers as I continue to navigate my long-term cancer survival and treatment, especially as the medical personnel can be clueless, cruel, and speedy. I pray that all complications, miscommunications, and deviations can be absorbed and handled with care and clarity, and that all poison becomes its own antidote. Prayers for me as I dive deep into my mythic life. Prayers for assistance and guidance as I do what I can to get myself out of my current work situation. May I see a path to a new life and the ability to rest in community. Offering prayers for myself as I navigate financial stress and insecurity. May I find the strength and security for my community and eternally as I move through this challenging time. Prayers that my ancestors receive what they need to be well. Prayers for acceptance of impermanence and Wilke's words, the fragrance of life, and for transformation of pain into the medicine we need. Prayers for the land and our Mother Earth and all the plants and animals for protection and knowing that they are cherished beyond measure. Prayers of gratitude for Lama Rod and prayers for ongoing protection, resources, and fortitude. Prayers for my mom that she has human and more than human care and tenderness around her and that she knows I am with her and loving her. Prayers for my siblings that their hearts are healed by love and they stop weaponizing their trauma as violence. Prayers for Herman who entered the spirit realm on Saturday. Prayers for Auntie Marlene whose heart is broken to have what she needs. Prayers for my cousin for clarity and wisdom and strict boundaries. Prayers for H for support and clarity in this time of immense chaos and fear. Prayers for myself for immediate financial support that relieves all debt. Prayers for M that he has what he needs to trust and open to life and his own loving heart rather than shutting down and causing harm to himself and others. For my nibblings and their moms, offering prayers for me, for my dear folks to be healthy and well. Prayers for J, N, A, C, I, E, C, H, P, and M. And S, prayers for me to get in sync with the days and flow of my work. Prayers I honor my time as much as others do. Prayers for Lama Rod to be free now. Prayers for all beings in all realms and timelines to be free ASAP. Prayers for my heart to be open to love and prosperity. Prayers for my daughter to feel cared for and for clarity as she prepares to leave for college. For healing from my daughter. Prayers for A and Z to face the past and the present, to learn and grow and become free from harmful patterns. Prayers for C to become free of ongoing emotional suffering and loneliness. For Terry, that he may know how lucky and grateful we feel. For Dad, may he be free of all stress and suffering, so full of contentment that it has become his name, and forgiveness and deep that it needs no name at all. For the family of Malcolm Jamal Warner, and for those of us who saw him as family, letting go of my fear that I will drown in the quiet of trying to fall asleep without having the TV every night. Prayers for refuge, prayers for Ricky Joyner and his wife Diane and their family as he continues cancer treatment. Prayers for Anne E. as she recovers from heart valve blockage. Prayers for my children, their partners, and children as they navigate the various challenges of their lives, particularly the children on the autism spectrum. Prayers for the people of Gaza that finally those responsible for their starvation will relent and see the harm being done to the Palestinians and the rest of the world looking on. Prayers for my physical health, my sense of despair in this moment, for healing that sense of being disconnected. May I open to the treasure of the practice and the inner Buddha that simply knows. May I truly feel the love that is within and without. Offering prayers of healing for my cousins and extended family as we grieve the death of their mother and navigate my cousin's hospitalization following a manic episode. Offering prayers that Luke and I be safe on our early morning walks on these long country roads. Ashe. Prayers that we find our way to safer lands. Prayers to reconnect my spark and inspiration. Prayers for all those I'm supporting and holding space for. Prayers for clear opportunities to get deeper into practice. Offering prayers for all beings doing the work. May we know ourselves as light, space, and emptiness. May I recognize myself beyond the trauma and let my benefactors ancestors and the earth light the way towards the truest shape of my life as a source of support and liberation for all beings. Prayers for the challenges ahead to flow with as much ease, love, and awakened care as possible. May all beings be free as quickly as possible. Offering prayers for all of us suffering from stuck trauma responses of fear, prayers that I may find my way to financial and communal abundance, prayers for my mom that her suffering from dementia may be eased, prayers for liberation for us all as quickly as possible. Offering prayers that my mother's broken left wrist gets better. I continue to offer prayers for my Aunt Jelaine, who is still recovering from a severe stroke. I continue to uplift all unspoken prayers in our communities, all those prayers that lay really heavy in our heart, but we actually don't know how to bring words to those prayers. May we release those prayers to our sources of refuge. I offer another prayer for the liberation of everyone right now who feels just overwhelmed, disassociated because of the intense violence that we're experiencing and also witnessing. May we be freed, and may all systems of violence and harm, may all institutions and states be abolished that perpetuate all of this inequity and violence and harm. May we remember who we are as quickly as possible, and may the new world be called in as quickly as possible. May this all happen as quickly as possible. May it be so. We offer these prayers to our sources of refuge. And again, we pray that you bring about the fruition of all the prayers, both spoken and unspoken, that have been lifted up. And as we return our attention back to our mantra practice, imagining that as we are in the heart of Medicine Buddha, imagining that Medicine Buddha actually begins to encompass this whole world. To feel, to imagine, to experience the whole world being held within the heart of Medicine Buddha, which is the heart of all Buddhas, all at once. Imagining the pacification of all violence and struggle and suffering as the world is being held within Medicine Buddha's heart. We continue. Begenze ma begenze razumungate sua de ala begenze begenze ma begenze razumungate sua de ala begenze begenze ma begenze razumungate sua Deyanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razumangare zoa. 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 Deyanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, lass sumungare soa, teada, 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 begenze, begenze. So as we prepare to transition out of our practice, we first offer deep gratitude to all of our benefactors for holding the space and protecting our practice. Having accepted our gratitude, they dissolve into white light, back into emptiness themselves. We offer deep gratitude to Medicine Buddha, the lineage of Medicine Buddha, and all of Medicine Buddha's retinue. Having accepted our gratitude, even Medicine Buddha begins to dissolve into white light, and that white light is absorbed directly into our heart centers. We slowly begin to imagine that our bodies begin to dissolve in its radiance, its luminosity. Imagining that even that light begins to dissolve into emptiness. And once dissolves, our awareness is released to mingle with space and emptiness itself. Just being, just noticing, resting in this boundless state. And so when you're ready, turning your attention, allowing the weight of your body to come back into focus, along with the seat holding you, feeling the sensation of the body and the seat, allowing it to begin to anchor the rest of your reforming back into this moment, connecting to the body, your breath, to the space around you, to sound, to light, to taste and touch. Beginning to slowly reawaken your body through simple movement. As we slowly begin to turn our attention to Shanti Deva's prayer found in the chat box, which we will recite 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always be the support may always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they all pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the nurse. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain. I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right. Thank you all so much for your practice. Um, and may we be well and protected as we sign off from this space. May you have everything that you need as you continue with your life. And I pray that this session has been medicine that stays with you and remains accessible for you anytime that you turn your mind back to this practice. May it be so. All right. All right. Thank you all so much. Until we meet again, may you be well.